We will record. And let me share my screen. Beautiful. So you'll see I added a new PowerPoint slide to start. Put the power of the hertz to work for you. And I really wanted to give a picture to show like science fiction, right? This was like Star Wars. Do you guys remember? I think it was in one of the, not Star Wars, but Star Trek, where there was the med bed where the guys would be like really sick or cut up and they put you in this bed and they'd zing, zing, zing the frequencies and then they get up and everything would be fine. Well, that's really going to be the future of medicine, right? So I wanted to show that, yes, this is really high tech. We talk frequency, we talk energy, and there's sometimes a tendency to like be skeptical and think this is kind of woo-woo, but it's not. This is actually science. And that's what we're doing tonight. Even Albert, our friend, Dr. Albert Einstein, said the future of medicine will be the future of frequencies. And that future is actually here now. And I love that we're able to put the power of that future technology to work for us here in something that we can use to heal ourselves, for our self-healing, where we don't have to go to somebody else's med bed or to somebody else for massage and chiropractic and all that stuff. It's all beautiful. Love all that. Not to say that this replaces it, but it's just really nice to know that we also have something that we can hold on to and help ourselves. So the main frequency that is used in these wands is called the terahertz frequency, which is why I like to say, put the hertz to work, put the hertz where it hurts, is what we like to say. So what is the terahertz frequency? It's actually a wave band, and you'll see that this particular wave band is between microwaves and infrared. It's actually an electronic wave band that resonates at the same frequency as our normal human cells. And you're going to see why that is so amazing and important. Terahertz frequency, actually, years ago, in just 2004, our government said that terahertz technology was going to be one of the top technologies that's going to change the future world. And most of us had never heard of it before, but it's actually being used in so many different areas of technology, like agriculture, drinking water, social environments. It's in, even when you go to the airport, you know this one, when we're standing here and they're wandering around us, that is a type of terahertz frequency. So it's being used everywhere. An American scientist that's been working with it was calling it the wave of life because it matches, as I mentioned before, that vibrational frequency of human cells. So it can resonate with human cells to activate our body cells to function optimally. And you're going to hear more and more about that. Even the Chinese scientists said they called it the God's wave band. Why? Because it's the same frequency as our own healthy bodies. Now, another thing that's really interesting about this, and you'll see where this comes in as we keep going, it's 100% safe, it's non-ionizing, and it actually can pass through non-conducting materials like clothing. So yes, we can wand over our clothing. You don't have to take your clothing off, and plastic and glass and even paper. All right, so it can go through things to get into the body. So now I'm just going to talk to you about the 5 features of all the different wands that we have, just to give you an idea of some of the other things about it. The first one is safety. I know a lot of people are concerned about safety. It is 100% safe. We know that it is. It is patented and certified. And you can see there are tons and tons of test and safety features that we have with this. There have been 62 clinical tests, and the reports have been issued by the Beijing Research Institute of Chemical Technology. And this is one of the top, really well thought of institutes around the world. It's not some rinky-dink thing. And also the Russians have actually also been working with terahertz frequencies and testing and coming up with just some amazing things that they're learning about the terahertz. So it is 100% safe. All right, the next thing we call it is, oh, I passed right through penetration, and penetration is a huge one. Why do we have penetration here? Because actually, the sun and the moon emit terahertz frequencies onto the skin, but they don't have the same resonance and the same way to penetrate deep into the body. And it's that penetration that is making such a difference for all of us with our health. It actually can penetrate in through the skin 20 to 30 centimeters. And why is that important? Because it can get all the way down into our bone marrow. And it can get into our micro blood vessels and capillaries. So it's able to enhance our microcirculation. It inhibits water retention. I'm going to get into a few more of those things, but just know the importance of the penetration. And one of the reasons that it penetrates so deeply is because terahertz frequency is one of the 3 core technologies that the wand is based on. And the third of those is quartz technology. So in each of these wands, we have lots of quartz crystals and mineral crystals, so that when the terahertz goes through those crystals, it's amplified. And that's why we're able to get this kind of penetration. And I've seen a lot of knockoffs. There are a lot of knockoffs out there that aren't from Prife International. You do not want to be getting those, because when we take them apart, they don't have the quartz technology. So it's not doing the penetration. You're not going to get the same results. Active identification. So what does this mean? Well, what we've heard already is that the terahertz resonates at the same frequency as our healthy cells. So when it goes in, it actually has the ability to find those healthy cells, and it helps just charge them up. It's almost like giving us this extra battery pack into all of our healthy cells. So, you know, it's kind of like our cell phone. The cell phone has healthy cells. It's a battery cell. And over time in the day and stress and usage, that battery starts to get lower and lower in charge. It's not a bad cell. It just needs to be charged back up. And that's the same with our healthy cells. So the older we get, the more we're on the planet, the more we have that particular cell, and our cells are always replicating all the time. So it identifies the healthy cells and basically gives it a charge up. Then anything that does not resonate at the healthy cell, like bacteria, viruses, all these kinds of things, because it's not that same resonance, it causes them to vibrate very fast. And when it vibrates very fast, it gets hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and basically explodes and liquefies. And that's how we're able to use that to get rid of liquefying unhealthy cells and things that do not belong in the body. It's also able to unblock passages. So in this presentation, you're going to see there are things that will resonate if you've really studied and understand Chinese medicine, but also Western medicine. We kind of have different ways that we talk about it. Like in Chinese medicine or Eastern philosophy, it says it unblocks passages and vessels and also does a detox, meaning if you're talking about the meridian system, it's able to unblock the meridians, any blockages there. I like to talk about it in terms of fascia. If there's a adhesion of the fascia to your muscle, to your bone, to your organs, it will liquefy, heat it, and allow that to open up. So we can talk about it from both levels. And I loved this particular slide when I saw it, because this is exactly what it's talking about. The penetration into the healthy cells at that constant temperature, raising the temperature of the others and allowing them to disintegrate. All right, activation. So I kind of talked about that already, where it's kind of giving the regular good cells a good boost of energy. But, you know, we also have cells that are basically dead, but they haven't gone out in the body yet. And a lot of times it can activate that. It also regulates our body temperature and improves the immune system, activating weak and inactive cells, which is what I was talking about there. And the last of the 5 is that it is user-friendly. It's so easy to use the wand. You turn it on and you blow. And I know people like really want to complicate it, and we want a lot of rules, and then we follow the rules, and that's all great. I'll talk about that. But I just want you to know, in all honesty, you know, just turn it on and use it. It's so simple. So this picture just shows you different ways that people are doing it. Here's one young lady up at the top left, and she's just blowing on her face. She's pretty close there, and she's just wanding on the face. Now, one of the things that I will say on the face, typically, we don't want to use a lot of really high heat. It won't feel really good necessarily because the skin on our face can be a little bit more sensitive. But here's something I recently learned, and that is that penetration of the 30 centimeters is when the terahertz actually hits the skin, then it goes in 30. So if you have a wand and you want to use a little bit of heat, you can take the wand out further so that you don't get quite as high heat and still work around the face, especially if you're a little concerned if you have some implants. So you can do it way out here. It won't matter. That way you can still use it and still get the benefits of that penetration. So she's pretty close here, which is fine. You can be close, but you can also be a little bit further away. Like this person here is doing it the bottom right, and she's a little bit further away from here. She could even go further out from that, and it will still work. By the way, it works 100% safe for babies, for the elderly, for your pets. People are getting great results on their pets, on plants. So here it is using it on this sweet little girl right there on her little belly. And look, she's just sitting there, just soaking it up. This lady is on her back and she's doing it. Now, one of the things I get questions about is, Renee, I live by myself. How am I going to get my back? You know what? Think about this. It penetrates 30 centimeters, right? So if you're doing it on the front of the spine and you have a spine that has the front and the back, if you do the front and you're laying there and just with your mind, just feel how it's going down the back of the spine. So you can still work the full spine from the front, just like she's doing. And I love to lay down and just relax when I do it up and down that part of the spine. And then here's somebody else doing it on there. So I think you get the picture. All right, let's move on. I'm just going to quickly go through now the 8 steps to better health. What's actually happening when we are putting that beautiful terahertz and scalar energy in? Well, again, I've already talked about eliminating the unhealthy cells. It does that. It activates the inert cells. Talked about that. Increasing self-healing. Now, I do want to mention one other thing. As we're talking about putting that frequency right deep into the bone, one of the reasons that that's so important is because the bones are spine, hip bones. I've even heard up in the up here in this part of the bone in the sinus area. This is where our body is holding our own latent stem cells. So if you guys have heard there's stem cell therapy, it's been around now. A lot of people get stem cell therapy where they'll actually get stem cells maybe injected into a knee. And that's because stem cells go out into the body and they find where they need to be regenerated. Cells need to be regenerated, and that's where they go to help the healing. Well, those are actually located deep in our bones. So as we put those frequencies deep into the bone marrow, it allows our own stem cells to be released. And so that's another beautiful, beautiful part of the increase of the self-healing. All right, clearing meridians and lymph, we've talked about that, opening it up. And also it opens up the lymph system. So you're going to see where we specifically recommend going right at all our different lymph points. Why? Because we want to open up the body's energy field, allow everything to start to move, rebalancing, helping the detox system. So it purifies blood and will also increase the metabolism rate. Increasing microcirculation because it's going to dilate those blood vessels. And the other thing that we have found that it does is that it reduces what we call the blood resistance and viscosity. And viscosity is like the thickness, if you will, of blood. So, you know, a lot of times when we have problems with our microcirculation, the doctors will put us on blood thinners in order to thin the blood so that the blood is better able to get through those clogged up vessels. So we're going to open up, dilate the vessels, and thin the blood just a little bit. It doesn't do a huge amount, but a little bit, so that it can get through and improve microcirculation. And you're going to see that even in varicose veins, etc. It's great for that. Regulates glands. It absolutely does that as well, protecting our organs. So it's going to work on organs and glands the same way, resonating those healthy cells. And it removes water retention. And this is a really interesting thing because, you know, People that don't have really good circulation, we end up with edema and a lot of swelling in different places. And when that happens, it raises blood pressure. So you can see how all these things are all interconnected. So that's not the extra hydration in our cells. We're not talking about intercellular hydration. We're talking about external hydration, where the body and the fluids are not able to move around and create a good situation. That's the other thing that this is going to be doing. It reduces the swelling, which is super. When you drink the water, what you're going to find is it actually hydrates intercellular. And that's something that we really, really need to do. So get rid of the external edema that's hiding and hydrate the cell. Circulation, we've been talking about that. It's going to cleanse the blood impurities, promoting really good blood circulation. All right, so those are the different things that it's actually doing when it gets into the cells. So let's just talk about who and what conditions it's really great for. It is fantastic to help with different kinds of inflammations, anything that has an itis at it. So inflammation, rhinitis, gastritis, prostatitis, inflammation, it's beautiful at reducing. Really good for helping reduce different kinds of pains, low back pain, headaches, shoulder and neck pain. Okay, sciatica, it even helps with that. Various blockages. So we talk meridian blockages, lymphatic blockages. And, you know, I do a lot of work, and I have for many years, with exercise in a workout that was designed to help lymphatics. And I work with a lot of different energy systems. And I find it really fascinating that I'm going to say as high as probably 90% of us all have stagnant lymphatic systems. And that's because for most of us, we don't really move a lot during the day. If you're sitting a lot, guaranteed you've got sluggish lymphatic system, because a lot of those lymph nodes right there in the groin, in the feet, behind the knees, up in the pecs, and here and in here. And we need to be moving that all the time. And that's just not our lifestyle. So really unblocking the lymph system can be a huge, huge benefit to our health. Helps with varicose veins, weight loss, insomnia, even diabetes and high blood pressure. So it can really help with all these things. And definitely various kinds of skin conditions. Acne, excellent. Anti-aging, beauty, various skin conditions. Great to help with eczema. And we're going to show you some testimonials on that. So yes, it's great for all that, but there are some contraindications, and let me share those with you as well. So the first is for pregnant women. I have to drink a little terahertz water here after doing all the talking. So, you know, we never recommend anything for pregnant women. Ask your provider and all that good stuff. Menstruation, it's considered a contraindication, but I will give a caveat to that, and that is if you tend to have a lot of really heavy cramping, and you might want to try it once and just see how that feels. I've seen a lot of women love it, love putting it with the heat on their bellies, wanding on the belly at that time of the month. It can feel really good. It can really help relax all the muscles and everything in there and just really help you feel better. The contraindication is more about the amount of bleeding. So some women I've said, I didn't see any difference in that. I have seen one or two people say, oh my goodness, it really increased the bleeding and the bleeding time. So you might want to play with that. But it has been considered contraindication. Anything that's an acute disease, oh my goodness, all of a sudden I'm dying, something comes on quickly, you go to the doctor, the hospital. We don't want for that. People with congenital heart conditions and diseases, we don't want to wand for that. Those are medical conditions. You need to seek medical treatment. Objects implanted. We don't wand directly over objects implanted. So, you know, if you have any kind of metal in your back, if you have metal in your mouth, wherever your metal is, yes, you can still wand, just do not go directly over it, okay? Especially not with the heat. And you don't want to wand, they recommend not over any open wounds and fractures. Again, we want to go to seek medical professional care for those kinds of things. Once the wound starts to heal, absolutely, it will really, I found it definitely increases or helps decrease the amount of time healing. And especially once you get the scar, to keep wanding to get rid of any scar tissue or potential scar. So those are what is not recommended for. All right, so let me share quickly about the 3 kinds of wands and what they're doing, and then we're going to go into how to use the wand. So right now we actually have 3 different wands. All 3 of these wands are incorporating top 3 technologies. So we talked about the terahertz, what that's doing. We talked about the quartz technology, which helps with that penetration. And there's also one more core technology that we call the scalar or healing energy. And that's a huge aspect as well, where when we're turning it on, it's actually sending out healing frequencies, not only into the body, but all around you and all around in your environment. So that's a powerful thing to know as well. In my last Zoom, we talked a lot about how you can use that to your benefit. So too much to talk about here, but just know that that scalar healing energy is also working for you. So another reason why this is such a powerful instrument. We have 3. We have our red classics, and I just happen to have mine here. And this is the wand that most of us start with. It's great for personal use. It actually has 3 different settings. So it has one that we just call like a high blow, and it's a very low heat. Mine heats up a little bit, but it's not a cool, but it's not any kind of a heat on it. The second is not quite as much of a strong blow and a medium heat. And then the third is a stronger blow and a high heat. So you have options, okay? And it's really very much up to you and your own personal, what you can heal and what feels good on your body. So that's the classic. It's $350. And this is all for the United States. It's slightly different in different countries. So if you're tuning in here from another country, just ask us for that country's amount. And that includes the shipping, right? So it's $350 complete. Now we have a new wand that we're calling it's called the premium. And that's this beautiful little number. So this one has 2 settings, which is a little less high blow and heat, and then a high blow and heat. And it's a little bit heftier. It's got a stronger kind of foundation. I love the way it feels because you'll notice in the wand, it has a longer snout and not as much of a hold handle. This goes the opposite. So it just feels really nice in your hand and it's very light. It's a little bit quieter than the classic. I'm really loving this one actually. And now that I recognize that, I can still go with my number 2, not so much blow and some heat, but I can go away from it a little bit more if I want to use it for my face. So just sharing that with you. That particular one is $1,050. And that also includes the shipping. Pardon me for moving over, but I just wanted to grab these. So I have them on a chair because we have to be really careful with these. And this is the what do I call it? The Tesla of wands. This is the big wand, and this one is the Pro. Now, the Pro is mostly used in clinic settings. So if you're somebody that's a professional looking to use it on your patients or clients, it is a beautiful wand. It's got a few more settings. It actually has a cool shot. It is much heavier, I will tell you that, but you can use this all day long. It won't shut off, it won't get too hot. And yes, it is more powerful. The premium is more powerful in terms of sending out the terahertz than the classic, and the Pro is the most powerful, so you don't have to use it as long to get the same benefits from those frequencies. And those are all just beautiful. And again, 3,500. And that includes shipping. So those are your 3 wand choices right now. All right, so let's go on quickly to how to use it. So the first thing that I want to talk about, because it's the first one we all talk about, is you gotta open that box up, take it out, and we're gonna wand the water. And what does wanded water mean? Well, when you put the terahertz in wanded water, and I'll show you a good setup in a second, it takes the water from a clustered structure So you can kind of see in this picture, the water clusters are clustered together, and it makes it into what we call a linear chain. Now, why is that important? Because those clusters, when they go in the body, they're big. So it's very hard for that clustered water to actually get into all of our little trillions of cells. So, you know, first thing in the morning you get up and we've all been told, okay, you're going to have a big glass of water. Let's hydrate and kind of cleanse the body from the night. And you take that big glass of water and 5 minutes later, you're right in the potty and you're just peeing it right out because it went right through you. It didn't actually get absorbed into your cells. And that's what I was talking about before. It's not that intercellular hydration that is so important for us. And it's because they're big clusters. This way, when you wand the water, it takes it and it structures it into a linear fashion and makes those molecules very small. Now, as you drink, they actually get into the cells. And you're going to know whether or not it's structured because when it is, it has this, it really changes the taste and the texture of the water. Well, that sounds so weird, right? How many of us ever thought about texturing the water? But it does. It has this beautiful little soft, silky feel in the mouth. Now, I personally never liked to drink water. I would drink it, I would choke. I know as like a health person and a trainer, like I'm admitting right now, I hated to drink water. I really didn't drink much water. But now I love the water. There's something about it once you structure it that it just goes down really easily. And then you're going to notice that you don't run to the bathroom quite so quickly. You'll notice that you're drinking more in the beginning, especially as the body rehydrates, then you're actually peeing out. And you might also notice that your urine is not as yellow as dark, because it's actually getting into those cells and hydrating. These are just some of the benefits of drinking the hydrated water. And as you can see, there are a lot of them. Now, how do you blow the water? How do we do it? Well, you might have seen on the internet, if you've been studying this at all, people get their glass jars or the big ones and they get these big stands from Amazon, and down it's going right into the water. You can see the water splashing. And by the way, you do not want to get the water up into the wand. And that's fine if you want to do something like that. But remember that I said that it can go, the frequency can go penetrate right through the glass, like through our clothing. So I'm not about trying to get a contraption up and over. I'm about ease. So what I did was I just have my big glass jar. And this one does have a little metal on it. Don't worry, I'm not blowing into the metal into here. It's just a little thing here. So I don't worry about that. I set it up. I have a fat book right here, and I like to put a little towel over it just to be nice to my little wand. I turn it on and blow. Now, how long do I blow? Well, for something this large, I usually blow at least 5 minutes, 5 to 7. Now, what you're going to hear is that the water we recommend being, when you drink it, at room temperature or warm or hot. The reason for that is frequencies are very active in warm and hot water, not active in cold water. So what I like to do is I fill up my big jug with clean water. You want it filtered. Don't just take it right from the tap if you don't have any filter on it. There's just a lot of chemical, etc., disinfectant in that, and you don't want to be wanding that. You want it as clean as possible. So either spring water, if you have, I have a whole house filter, RO water, which is reverse osmosis, something like that. So you want it as clean as possible. And I just fill it up with warm water already. I turn it on the first setting, and I basically go away and do what I'm going to do, letting it run. And then I come back after 5-7 minutes. I turn it off and I take a nice sip or two of that water and I go, oh yeah, it is silky smooth. I know it's ready. So again, for that, I do it about 5 minutes. If you want to just do a glass at a time, maybe a big glass, you can do it this way as well. Maybe do it for 1 to 2 minutes. How are you going to know it's done? Take a sip. You're going to know. Okay, so that's another way. Here's a little trick you can do if you just want to do maybe 2 glasses at a time. Take 1 glass here, filled with water, another one right next to it, filled with water. Put your terahertz here and blow through it. It goes through 30 centimeters. So it will go through that one and then into the other one. And you've actually wanded both of them at the same time. So a little bit of a time saver there. So that's how we wand the water. All right. Now, once you've wanded the water, now we're also going to be using the wand to blow on the body. So we call this, let me put this over to the side so you can kind of see this, all our peeps over here. All right. And so we call this the 10 steps, sorry, you guys, to using the wand. We call this the basic protocol. Now, do you have to start with the basic protocol? You don't, but we really do recommend it because it's designed to get your bodies used to the frequency, to start taking them, absorbing them, rebalancing, and opening up the body's energy channels so that you can go longer and really get a great benefit. So here it is. We're going to wand and drink 2 glasses of the warm water. And then we're going to do a minute on each palm. So this says you're going to do each step for 2 to 3 minutes. So about a minute on one hand, a minute on the other. Now, this is what it's going to look like. You know what? I'm just going to grab this. I'm not going to turn it on because it's loud and that will blow your ears up. Here's how you're going to do it. La, 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 la. So you do it at heat. You do it on whatever temperature is comfortable for you. You're going to do it like that for about a minute. You're going to come over here. You're going to do it like that. I like to do with my fingers. You can go counterclockwise, and clockwise, go in the backs. Yes, 30 centimeters. If you just go here, you're getting the other side too. But I like to do it this way. It just feels good. There you go. 1 minute, 1 minute. There's your 2 minutes. You're going to do it the same way on the feet. I'm not going to pull my feet up. You're just going to see what I'm going to do. Same thing on the feet. Same thing on the feet. There you go. We're now at 2 minutes. Or 4 minutes, sorry. I'm going to put this back down. All right, next you're going to go to behind the knee. Same thing, however you can get there behind the knee. Can't reach it, don't worry about it. Move on to the groin. We can all pretty much use our groin up and down through the groin. Pretty much, you can do circles, you can do back and forth. Don't get into all these rules. You just wand, okay? Armpit. Now, so you can see why armpit, why groin and behind the knee. Those are your lymphatic places. So I just kind of do this up and down a little bit. Do it for about a minute, 2 minutes max. Lymph on the neck, wand the neck, wand the neck. You can wand both sides of the neck, wand the neck, up and down, circles, doesn't matter. Back of neck, back of head, same thing. Sometimes if that's too hard for me, I'll just go from the front. I'll think about the back of my neck. Now, number 8 is the one though that there is a caveat, top of head. If you have high blood pressure, you don't want to wand that on the top of the head because that just brings all the energy up into your head where you don't want it with high blood pressure. So you ignore that one. Then you go down to the tush, just do a little on the tush and then blow up and down on the spine. So again, can't reach it. I lay down, I go up and down on my spine for about 2 minutes. You're done. And then you drink 2 more glasses of water. So that's how we start. And again, total, maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. If you know that you are pretty sensitive, in other words, what does that mean? You take supplements, you do something and you just know you're not going to feel good. If you've been suffering from chronic conditions for a long time, I would go err on the side of caution. You are a person that might just want to start with the water. Just drink a couple glasses of water for a day or 2. See how you do. Then maybe just go to 1 and 2. Drink the water 1 and 2 and start slowly. But if you're not a person that knows you're super sensitive, then I wouldn't worry about it. I'd start with this. Or if you're somebody that's just like, Renee, my back is killing me. I just got this for my back. Drink the water, go to your back. Maybe do it for 5 minutes the first day. Stop, see how it is, and go on from there. So that is the beginning and how you're going to do it. So now I'm just going to share just a couple of testimonials for you, just to get a sense of how this wand has worked for so many people, my goodness, all over the world. Interestingly, it actually can help with weight management. And you can see these ladies have done a beautiful job. Now, does it make you lose weight? No, obviously it doesn't. But a lot of the reason that we are overweight is because we are toxic. We're inflamed, And the body is going to hold on to those fat cells because let me ask you, do you know where a lot of toxins reside? The body shoves them into the fat cells because fat cells are inert and the body doesn't really need them. So it will put nasty toxins into the fat cells. Well, if your fat cells are there filled with toxins, right, you're not going to be able to lose weight because the body stayed on. Thank you. I can't believe it just died. All right. Well, I bet Cheryl kept talking to you, did she? So I'll tell you what, let's not listen to me yap anymore about all this. Let's go right to questions. How's that? Thanks, Trisha. I appreciate that. You know, the one thing that anyway, I pretty much told you everything you needed to know already about the wand, right? And we were just going on to some testimonials. So anybody have a testimonial or have questions? Come on out, unmute yourself. I believe you can, and ask me a question. Anybody have anything? No, really? Go, Cindy, go ahead and just unmute yourself if you will. Thanks.
You know the blue light.
Yeah.
So is that the only area where the frequencies are coming out, or is it all in all of the air that's coming out?
That's a great question. So this is my understanding. Okay. My understanding is the terahertz is going to be going in through the blue light. The blue light shows you kind of where it's going in. However, there's also the scalar healing energy. That energy goes out this way.
Okay.
So it's both. So actually you're getting both.
Okay.
Yeah. But the actual terahertz is going in where that blue light is.
So if you've got a place that's bothering you, you really need to aim that blue light in that area. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Great question. So Gail asked, does the water need to be, oh, sorry, I'm going to have to open this chat, you guys, so I can see, need to be rewarded in a certain amount of time. Okay, I think you meant rewarded, so I get that, no problem. You know, it's interesting. We've seen different people say different things about how long the frequencies last in the water. And I've seen different people who have instruments that are testing it, and we get some different answers. So I think there's not an exact answer to that. I like to think that it lasts at least 24 hours. I know that mine does because I test it with my pendulum. I have other ways of doing it. But anyway, you know what? Every day I just pull out new water and just wand. I like to wand that day, but if I have a little left, I might keep it in there and then add water and rewand. So if any of you kind of have ever studied homeopathy, there is something where you put some in and then you add, and that actually makes it a little bit stronger. So I'll do that a lot of times too. If I still have some water left from yesterday, I'll just add to it and go right in. All right. Does that work for you? Thanks. Thanks, Gail. If somebody has braces, can't use the one on their face. They can. You just don't want to go like this, Carolyn. Okay. So you can still use it down here, up and around this way, but just don't go right over those braces. And if you're concerned, then don't do it at all in the face. That's how I would answer that. Tell us about your scalar necklace. Oh, thank you for asking about my scalar necklace. All right, that was the part of the presentation I was going to add to tonight. And I could probably still have it. But anyway, this is called an ion shield. And I don't know if you can tell, but that's light is actually on, which is kind of fun. So this ion shield is another product from Price that it's an electronic mask, you guys. The Chinese created this, the scientists, to help people because, in China, right, where had so much COVID and there was such an issue with having to wear the mask all the time, this actually is a mask. It is emitting over 60, see if I get this right, like 60 million negative ions per pulse. And it pulses, I think, like 3 times a second. So it's emitting negative ions into the air all around you. Now, if you've ever gone to like a waterfall or the ocean, or even in trees in in a forest, you'll find that the negative ion amount is much higher. And don't we feel more relaxed? We feel happier. Yes, it's because we're on vacation a lot of times, but also it's just the idea of the negative ions. So when you're doing that and you're putting it here, it's actually going up and creating this mask of negative ion around you. Those negative ions actually will attach to positive ions, which would be bacteria, viruses. Those are all positive charges, allergens. It kind of hooks onto it and then drops it down and pulls it right out of your airspace. So it is tremendous if you have to be around a lot of people and you're concerned. It's great for allergies because it will take a lot of that allergen out from right around where you're at. We have studies that show, all the studies, it was studied, and I have all those if anybody's interested. And the company actually made a big negative ion shield that you can put on a desk, but then people were like, yeah, but if we go out, we can't just take this big desk thing with us. So that's why they ended up creating this. It is on a metal chain, and you don't want to change the chain. It's not especially attractive. It does go down a little further, but this has to do with so that you don't get shocked. All right, so there's a reason for the negative charge. So that's the negative ion. That's my my frequency wand, or frequency necklace, I guess you could call it. They are available. We have them in stock, and they are $350 as well, which includes shipping. And they're super simple, you guys. They just have these little 3 dots in the back. It's a magnetic charge. It holds a charge. It says it holds a charge 9 hours. I've actually worn mine a whole day, 12 hours, and it did not lose its charge. But then you just attach it. It's a USB, charge it up, and off you go again. So it's just terrific. Cheryl has one as well. Beautiful. I'm really loving it. I wasn't sure. And when I first got it and I put it on, I turned it on. There's a little thing on the bottom. You turn it on and I'm like, is anything happening? I'm not sure anything's happening. And then somebody told me, oh, hold it up to your ear. You can hear it. And I hold it up to my ear and you can hear it pulsing. So it's like, okay, good. I know that it's working. So that's an ion shield. And if you're interested in that, just let me know. We can get those to you as well. All right. Who else has a question? Are there anything in the chat that I missed? Cheryl loves hers. Yes, I love mine too.
I have a quick question.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, Becky.
Hi, everybody. So I have a person that just got her wand today, and she charged her water in a glass pitcher, but then she has she said it's a BPA-free plastic container that she wanted to put it in and wanted to know if that was safe. And I wasn't sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not sure, right? Yeah, perfect. I put mine, I make my tea, I have it in metal. So you just don't want to wand through the metal. Okay. You can put it, or the plastic, but you can put it in there afterwards. Okay. And part of that is because there's like, I'm going to call it, this sounds a little weird, but it's like there's information. Everything is energy and information. And, you know, we don't want to wand plastic particles and plastic information into our water that we're drinking. So that's why, but no problem. If you're not wanding, you can keep it in there. It'll hold the charge.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Great question. Thanks.
So Cheryl was encouraging me to share. I have so many testimonials already, and I've only had it for 4 weeks. And
please tell me, please share your testimonials. We want to hear.
I feel like it's ridiculous.
Let go. We all want to hear what's happening.
Knock my computer over. Well, when I got it, I wasn't going to tell anyone about it. And I said, I'm just going to experiment on my husband and I and our pets first, and then we'll see what happens. And I ended up finding out the day after I got my wand, my sister-in-law's cat was very sick, had a mass in its abdomen, wasn't able to walk, wasn't eating. And she called me and she's like, can you go with me to the vet? I think I'm going to have to put my cat down. He was in really rough shape. And it was one of those moments where you're like, okay, do I say anything about this device that I just got that I really haven't even used yet? Is it too late? What should I do? So I prayed on it and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to offer it. And at that point, she really didn't have anything to lose. So I'm going to share that later on because we're going to have some pictures of his x-rays and stuff. But for 4 weeks, I've been treating this cat now, and he's now walking, eating. He's put weight back on. He's resuming his normal cat activities. It's been pretty miraculous, to be honest with you. So I haven't shared that one publicly yet because she has a before x-ray of the mass and she wants to go back and get an after just to see the difference. But with my own cat, he has allergies. He licks all of the hair off of his belly. We have tried everything. We've tried different foods, supplements. Nothing has worked. He's just very uncomfortable in his skin and it's awful. I feel terrible for him. It's constantly scratching. So he doesn't like loud noises. So we just give him the wanded water. He's had it for 4 weeks now and all of the hair on his belly is all coming in, like the whole thing is covered. I'm shocked. So,
isn't that wild? And that's just from the water, right? You didn't even
just from the water. Yep.
Oh, you guys, so see, the water is so healing. Give
Yeah.
the water.
Yeah.
Great, Becky.
My husband has had trigger finger for over a year now. And because he's always working with his hands and always using tools, it can't heal because he's constantly re-aggravating it. So he's been focusing a lot of wanding on that finger. And he 2 weeks ago came into the room and said, "Hey, want to see something cool?" And I said, "Sure." And he walked in and he, for the first time in a year, could do this with his hand. He wasn't able to get this finger, it would stay up, and he can do this with his hand now. So,
Oh,
but
it's
something
amazing.
else that I noticed, and I just wanted to ask you, Renee and Cheryl, if you guys have noticed this, my teeth, so I don't wand over my teeth because I do have a lot of metal fillings, but I do up here and the rest of my face, and then I drink the water all day long now. But my teeth and my gums feel so clean. Like I feel like I just came from the dentist clean. Do you guys notice that at all?
Clean is interesting. I haven't noticed that. I have a lot of metal as well.
Okay.
But what I will tell you is interesting is I've had this little, right up here, it's like a cyst. And it gets bigger and smaller, but it never goes away. And I've
Okay.
been to the periodontist and they're like, "Oh, it's no big deal, no big deal." But it's kind of like, but it shouldn't be there. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, but it's like a growth. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't love that it's there. And it is almost completely gone.
Oh, wow.
So that makes me
That's
really,
amazing.
yeah, yeah. But I'll have to notice clean. I hadn't necessarily, maybe I just didn't notice that.
I
But
had
that's cool.
some receding gums on the
Gums?
bottom and they're not doing that anymore. So
Ah, beautiful. Yeah, I wish I would have had my wand a few months ago before I had tissue grafting down there.
oh,
Maybe I wouldn't
wow.
have had to, but at least I know I won't have to again. So
Right.
great. Well,
Yeah.
Becky, thanks so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I love that. Anybody else have like a testimonial? Share, you have such a good one. Would you mind sharing yours? There you
Which
go.
one? Which one?
Oh, well, I like the one with the walking and the leg and the arm, and I don't know, whichever ones you want to share.
Okay, so when I first found this wand, I was having difficulty raising my left arm. It wasn't frozen shoulder, but there was some blockage somewhere. I could barely lift it. And I got it and I used it. And a few days later, I called Renee. I said, "You got to look at this." And now, I mean, I can go all the way up. I mean, there is still some residual that I'm still working on, but I wasn't able to lift my arm at all. And so backtracking, I had a mild stroke in 2013, which affected my right side. And I had osteoarthritis as a side effect of that. And I was never able to really walk very far without pain and my leg feeling so heavy. And my husband and I walk the beach every Sunday and we go about 4 miles, which before I could probably do maybe 1.5 miles tops. And I'd always have to turn around. And it just, everything, there's everything about it. There's nothing I can't say that hasn't helped me in some way, whether it's subtle. And I will tell you, since I've been talking and making love to my charged water every day and telling the intentions, it's amazing how you feel. Like Rob did about 3 of his intentions that just like, he goes, "Okay, this is crazy." And you know, he was very skeptical at first. He's all about it. He loves how he feels on it. I find him, you know, thank God we have 2 because he's been hogging it. And so I'm able to use mine, he uses his. And, you know, we just love it. You know, it's part of our daily routine. It's something that is necessary for all of us to do. It's not selfish to do, practice self-love and self-care and self-respect. You know, it's selfish not to use this.
Oh, Cheryl, that's beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
My
And
pleasure.
and I've had like I wasn't sick. I didn't, I had my own, everybody has their own aches and pains and, getting older stuff. And I just every day find a little something else. It's just interesting. I've gotten rid of the floaters in my eyes, skin tightening. And like Cindy was sharing earlier that she's had just some back, just little pains here getting up for her. She's had it for a long time. I know we've worked together to help that. And one of the other things that I've like really recognized is back in the fall, I had gone on a trip to Mexico, and where I was, there was a lot of cobblestones. So I was walking like this, and I came back and I had it was awful in my back. It was not so much a back pain, but every time I would go to walk, I'd get that awful sciatica down the side of my leg. And I would do all the things that I know to do. I would get it, it would be okay for a little bit, and then back it would come. And I love to walk and hike. And it was really, I was challenging. I hated it because I would know I was going to be in pain. So I've been wanting, and I just noticed, even like maybe 2 weeks ago, wow, you know what? That's gone away. And somebody I think also mentioned, I think it might have been using like, sometimes it's one side that hurts, then another time it's another side, and like, but never just no pain. I recognize I am completely out of pain. My back doesn't hurt anywhere. We went for a long hike yesterday up and down in the Georgia mountains. Nothing. I did not have any pain. And that is just so beautiful. And you guys, isn't pain kind of like when you're in pain, it's all you can think about, right? You can't think about anything else. And when you're out, you forget. It's like, okay, that's gone next. And off we go. We forget how much the pain was. And that's a great thing because we don't want to be remembering pain, but just grateful that we were out of it. So just, even everyday aches and pains, you can use the wand for. Yeah. Thanks, Sharon.
Awesome.
All right, you guys, anybody else real quick? No? Well, listen, thank you so much. And thank you guys for staying on. I was like, no, all of a sudden I look and it froze. So I appreciate that. And I'm sure hopefully Cheryl kept you entertained while I was gone. So I appreciate it so much. Have a great evening. If you have any questions, we're here for you. Just let us know and go have a fabulous day. I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording.